hopefully it's not too late your evening, and possibly good afternoon to some friends who are joining us. And I can see maybe a couple of people in the US. So good morning to you in the US if you're joining us from there. Uh, I'm thrilled to welcome Mr. Khurshed Batliwala, who is fondly referred to as Baba by a lot of his friends. And I spent the last few weeks researching about his life a little bit. I also met some very interesting people that he'd interacted, and I really am thrilled to bring you this conversation, this interview with Khurshed. Khurshed, thank you. I'm going to take a moment, if you allow me, Khurshed, to just introduce you formally, because you have inspired me, because I watched many of your videos and I read some of your materials, but you've inspired so many people all over the place. And I think our audience should know a little bit more. But Khurshed Batliwala holds an MSc in mathematics from IIT Bombay. He chose the unconventional path of being an art of living teacher and has been with the foundation for more than 25 years. You can feel the peace in Khurshed's presence. I did that in the only meeting I've had, and that's something I've heard across the board. He has organized, created, and taught various self-development courses in more than 30 countries around the world. He's also personally taught more than 100,000 people. He's a prolific speaker and has been invited to speak at various national and international forums. A snapshot of his past speaking engagements include with the Hinduja Group, Barclays, American Express, Citibank, Morgan Stanley, Hewlett Packard, Godrej. I would not go into all of them, but the IIMs, the IITs, several of them, BITS Pilani, AIMS in Delhi, and so many more. He has been invited to numerous TEDx forums and has delivered more than 10 TEDx talks. And I'd encourage all of us to go and watch some of those. Also buy some of Khurshed's books, because he's got 2 books that he's authored. He's working on a 3rd one, and you must read those books. So he co-authors that with his friend Ganesh Kohli, but I would encourage everybody to do that. He also addresses several private gatherings of industrialists, promoters, chairmen, and CEOs in Mumbai and Delhi on a regular basis on a variety of topics such as mind, meditation, sleep, healing, happiness, leadership, and others. Inspired by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji, who we all are inspired by as well, and drawing on his own vast knowledge and experiences, talks and workshops are a smooth blend of science, technology, and ancient Indian wisdom. So once again, warm welcome. Thank you so much, Khurshed, for joining us. And I have to say, as an engineer myself, I traversed a journey which is far less spectacular than yours. I was this brash, angry man who wanted to go out and do a lot of things all together, until I got married in 2003 and my wife told me about meditation. I was inspired by her. She was so calm, composed, just like, your aura. She had that. She was meditating since 15 years of age. But like most stubborn husbands, I took 3.5 years. I listened to my wife 3.5 years later. And I first meditated in 2006 after 3.5 years. And then I realized there was another way of existing. This logical engineering mind said, "Baith ke kya hoga? What will I get out of sitting quietly? I have to run." So you have had this phenomenal transition from analytical, logical approach where you were an engineer, a mathematician, or rather a mathematician, a teacher, to meditation. Tell us a little bit, Khurshed, what inspired you? How have you traversed this path, and how did you get here?
No, even if you want to run, you need the juice to run, no?
Absolutely.
That juice comes from meditation.
Beautiful.
Right. Our body, our mind, they are like amazing pieces of very complex organic technology. The fuel for them to run is meditation, rest, sleep. And this is what I hear all the time, बैठ के क्या होगा, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, ज्यादा सोने से क्या फायदा है. अरे भाई, ज्यादा सोते हो, ठीक से थोड़ा ध्यान करते हो, इसीलिए तो काम होता है. Right? So the one thing that you have to get out of your head is sleep is a waste of time, meditation is a waste of time. No, it is the other way around. It is because you meditate, because you rest, because you sleep, that you can actually do all the stuff that you really want to do, right? And as far as my journey is concerned, well, I had this phone call from a very dear friend, and she said, there is this course on breathing and you have to come and do it. And I said, but breathing is boring. And she said, she's very fat. Okay. So she said, if you don't come, I will come home and sit on you. I have got too many people to talk to. Don't argue. I said, yes, yes, I will come. That was my introduction to meditation. So uh, I had no, I did not even know the name of the course was The Art of Living. I had no idea about, I just, because she said, you come, I went. That was it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's fascinating. So, and from there on, there's been no looking back. Obviously, you had that taste at that very early stage.
Yes, it felt like coming home. It felt like, matlab ho gaya. Like, what I have, it was like, really, it was like a homecoming for me. I remember in the break asking my teacher, how do I teach this course? And she said, first you have to complete it. So in the first few hours of the course, the first hour or so of the course, I knew I was home. I knew this is what I wanted to do in my life.
Beautiful. And before we get to the topic today of Khurshid for today, which is cracking the happiness code, you used this expression in the past. I'd love to know, we've seen that you brought that practice of meditation also into teaching. I mean, as you were teaching math and you were doing, it's all over your work actually. So it was not limited to just, a spiritual quest. You actually brought spirituality in the physical realm, in the plane and in everyday living. So can you tell us a little bit about that before we get onto the subject of happiness?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is the juice, it is the petrol of your car. If you want to go places, you cannot go anywhere without the petrol. Otherwise, you will end up pushing the car, which is too much trouble, right? So it is a part of everything that I do. Whether it is writing a new blog post, whether it is thinking and figuring out what is the next chapter that I'm going to write in my upcoming book. I find that everything becomes clearer, everything becomes easier when I meditate. Even when I get upset, and I do get upset, when things don't work out the way I want them to, and life has its own way of messing around and screwing around with you. So even when to handle those things, uh, your ability to meditate is where finally, Ganesh, it is all about when you have a relaxed, calm, peaceful mind, you can take rational, intelligent decisions. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Nobody is ever proud, or at least nobody I know is ever proud of any decision they have taken when they were angry, frustrated, or tired.
Yes.
Isn't it? Right? If you look back in your life, the great decisions about your life, the great choices you have made in your life have been when you have been relaxed, calm, feeling good, feeling happy. Right? So, for me, the easiest, fastest, quickest way to get into that space is spirituality, is meditation. So, I will always, use this amazing edge that I have to be able to move forward in my life. It's as simple as that.
And you're actually at an advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say hats off to people who don't meditate, because they are facing the challenge of life without that particular access to that particular state of consciousness. It's really difficult then.
And the challenge of life these days, Khurshid, is the pandemic, is all the distractions with social media and with all the stress in the household.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I am very, very blessed and very, very lucky that I stay on our ashram in Bangalore. So We have been here for the last almost since February or March. And to tell you the truth, uh, it has been one of the most productive, creative times of my life. Earlier, for the last whatever 25 years, 28 years, uh, as a teacher of the art of living, I had been constantly traveling, living out of a suitcase, all the time. And this has been such a welcome relief and change. I started very regular workouts. I really cleaned up my diet. In fact, I lost around 8 kilos. I'm feeling so much younger, so much fitter, so much clearer. Uh, so for me, when people say, "अरे घर बैठे 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 दिमाग खराब हो गया," मेरा तो उल्टा है. घर बैठे बैठे मेरा दिमाग ठीक हो गया. In the sense कि I actually had the time to learn all the things that I really wanted to learn. I got the time to finally practice my music. I play the piano, so I finally got the time to practice my, take a really complicated piece and play it the way I wanted to play it. Because now I got that. Otherwise, when you're traveling, you kind of learn, and then by the time you come back, you've forgotten, right? Uh, so I got the time to do that. I learned how to make my own website. I had been forever depending on other people to create websites, and I said, to hell with it. It's just too much stress. So I learned to make my own website. In fact, you guys can go and check it out. It's bawandinesh.in, BAWAN Dinesh.in.
Yes.
So it's a website I created from scratch. I'm very proud of it.
It's a beautiful website. I saw it, and Vidhi can type out the web address here, so people can always refer to it.
Yeah. So that website, and then the other website of alternative healing, which is another one of my passions, sstcha.com,
Yes.
Sri Shri Tattva Center of Healing Arts. So 2 websites in the last 20 days, one month or so, I created with the help of a friend who is a designer. So he helped with the color palettes and all that. But the basic creation of the website I did. And Ganesh, it's quite interesting how I get these things. Oh, I don't have a job. I don't have this. I don't have that. And I'm applying in 8 months, and I still don't have a job. So what are you doing, you fool? Stop applying and start learning something and become a freelancer. Everybody and his uncle wants a website. You can easily earn 20, 30, 40, 50,000 bucks out of creating websites for people. And if a person like me, who has been out of academics for like almost 25 years now, could pick up website programming and elementary CSS and things like that in 2 months, I don't see why anybody should have this excuse of I'm looking for a job, become a freelancer. There are so many things you can do, so many things you can learn today. Everything is there at the click of a button, mostly free.
Yeah.
So
wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that perspective. This is not just a time to wait for it to get over. This is a time to create. What you're saying is we can create our own destiny.
Absolutely.
And we don't have to be a victim of this. And obviously your meditation practice, Khurshed, has really brought you to this sort of thinking. And that really brings me to the subject of our conversation today, which is cracking the happiness code.
Right.
Now, I always thought that oscillate, and again, I have a couple of questions from the audience already that I will share with you, but I always thought that, it was really hard for me to be consistently in some state. So if you can share a little bit about, can we actually be happy persistently for large chunks of our life? Is that possible? Or are we going to oscillate heavily between being happy and being disappointed and upset? How does that work? What is this code?
How do you know you are happy?
If you were to ask me that question, I would be at ease, as in I'm not thinking outside of now. I would be just like I'm with Khurshed right now. I'm happy right now.
Right. So how do you know that feeling is happiness? How do you know that? Well, the answer is because you have experienced stress, you have experienced a wavering mind, you have experienced anger, frustration, all that, right? So the first thing to realize is that in order to be happy, first you have to be miserable. Otherwise, you will never know what is happiness.
Yes.
Right? So there is a space for misery in life. It gives you the opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate happiness.
Mm.
You know, once someone had asked Gurudev this question, Gurudev, how can I always be happy? And he gave a one-line answer which is etched in my consciousness. He said, drop the always, then you will be happy.
Beautiful.
You need to give space for everything in life. It is not a question of, I should not feel bad, I should not feel miserable, I should not feel sad. No, all these things will come. The point is how long you stay there.
Mm.
Another thing that Gurudev had said is, all emotions are welcome, but they should not stay longer than how long you draw a line on water, how long that it stays. That much is fine. So anger comes, let it come.
Mm.
Okay, some people can have little longer line. That is also allowed. But the point is that many people are in this quest of only happiness.
Yeah.
And that's a foolish quest. Because if I'll guarantee you, if you are only happy in life, the other name for that is called boredom.
Mm.
You want some masala, you want something going on. And the point is, when life throws a challenge at you, when life doesn't work the way you want it to, can
Yes.
you still maintain your smile, your composure? How long do you get upset? How long do you stay upset? This is the question.
Yeah. And Khurshid, you actually answered three questions by actually defining happiness. And you know, the very fact that you asked that question, there were like three people in the audience asking that question. So actually, it defining happiness, you actually have had to experience misery.
Yeah,
And
you know,
what
my definition of happiness is finding the toilet open when you really need to go. There is no better happiness than that. And peace of mind is what happens immediately after that, just in case anybody is asking that as well.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you, Khurshid, and I think that kind of simplifies it so much. And and how do you get this ability? And you know, again, I'm sure you'd talk about meditation here, but how do you bring this ability to not let that anger or those emotions become your very long-term guess? What you're saying is it's like a line on water. You don't hang on to that. You don't marinate in that emotion. The emotion will come and go. The goal is not to resist it, as Gurudev has shared, and it is really not to hold on to it for very long. How do you actually put this to practice? What do you do to do that?
That's where you learn meditation. That's where you practice meditation.
Yeah.
This automatically gives you the ability to do all what you have said. Uh, so it is not something that I can tell you here that, okay, you do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and then it will happen. You need to undergo that training. You need to then practice that. Right? See, many people say, oh, I learned meditation, but nothing happened. Learning is not enough. You have to practice. It's like I can show you the C major chord on a guitar, but unless you practice it, you will never learn it.
Absolutely.
Right? So for like anything, no, you whether it is baking a cake, learning a guitar, solving a partial differential equation, or meditation, you have to learn and practice.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
So and the priority has to be there. Do you really truly want your mind to be in this lovely state? If that answer is not an overwhelming yes, you will find other things to do. Right? When you can answer a honest yes to this question, then you will automatically take action. When you are tired of being stressed and frustrated and angry and upset, okay, let me tell you a story. It's a very cool story. So there's this guy who goes into the country for a vacation, 10, 15 days. Okay, I'm going. So he goes, very beautiful place, everything. But in the evening, towards the evening, he would hear this very sad howling from his neighbor's dog. The poor animals were crying. Ooh, ooh, you know how dogs cry like that. You just keep crying, crying, crying. First day, 2 days, 3 days, he said, none of my business. God knows what he's doing to that animal. So leave it. I am here for my shanti, whatever. After 4 days, he couldn't resist it anymore. So he goes to meet the neighbor. Says, I am just, I've taken this Airbnb next door and I am here for 10, 15 days. And your dog, I'm very curious, it keeps crying in the night, in the evening. It cries so much for some time, almost half an hour, 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Sometimes it cries every day. What is going on? So the old farmer, he's an old farmer. He's like, whatever, 65, 70-year-old grizzled old man. He says, I will show you. And he invites the guy inside his house and says, the basket where my dog sleeps every night, in the evening when he comes and sleeps, it's got this little splinter. So when my dog sits on the basket, that splinter pokes him and hurts him. And so he cries. So this guy's like, but if it hurts him so much, why doesn't the dog get up and go somewhere else? So the farmer smiles and says, it doesn't hurt him enough. It doesn't hurt him enough. And that's how people are in life. They are frustrated, they are angry, they are tired, they are stressed out, but they are not frustrated, angry, tired, stressed out enough to actually get up and do something about it. They only howl. So I hope you are not one of those type of people, all the people on this call who are ever going to listen to this. Don't be the dog that howls because it doesn't hurt you enough. Okay, intelligence is, if it's hurting me, I will get up and go somewhere. Intelligence is, if this is messing my life, I will get up and do something about it. And we are not anymore in the 80s and the 90s where meditation and yoga are, considered woo-woo or considered, like things that weird people do. They are very much mainstream now. Right? So it's just a question of prioritizing. Yes, I want to stop hurting. I really want to be happy. And I want to see that people around me are happy. When this priority comes, it is just natural that you will go towards spirituality, you will go learn meditation, do yoga, do all that so that you can fix your mind. And therefore, like you said, you can feel the peace of a person who meditates.
Yes.
So it is not just that, okay, when I meditate, I am feeling great. Then when I meditate, wherever I go, I create this bubble of happiness around me. Many people tell me that, Baba, just being with you, it feels good. Many people tell me that. And I say, it should. 27 years I've been meditating. It bloody well should feel good.
Absolutely. Such a beautiful and powerful story, Khurshed, that you shared of how much how badly do we want to get out of this misery? Somewhere we are actually enjoying that misery in a way and yet complaining about it. So, we may be addicted to our misery. So you've given us a very important code. The cracking the happiness code is, you have to be hurting enough to start doing something about it. And
otherwise you'll sit and howl.
Yes. And hopefully, we can do maybe a few minutes towards the end when we come to the end of this conversation, we can practice with you. You can lead us into a short, guided meditation or something of that sort.
Let's see.
I did want to bring up a couple of questions which are common here, you know, which are really talking about how can you really be happy if some of the closest people to you, they don't have full faith in you, or they are constantly draining your energy, or they are constantly angry and agitated and upset. How do you insulate yourself from people around you? How do you be happy in an environment which is unhappy?
So there are two types of people. One who get influenced by the environment, and two who influence the environment. Hmm? So on this art of living path, or the path of the ancient Indian Vedic spirituality that I am on, we say it is not enough you become peaceful, you have to become strong as well.
Mm.
You have to be so strong along with that shanti, with the peace, so that you can start influencing others rather than having them influence you. Your peace should not be fragile.
Mm.
It has to be strong and grounded so that you can truly get out in the world and make a difference there. Right? So the knowledge that you are connected to an infinite source of power, right? This itself is very big. People say, oh, you are draining my energy. How much energy you can drain? You drain, I am connected to infinity. What you will take from me? How much you will take, go. That is the attitude. Now, someone is regularly shouting at you, angry, agitated. If they are like that, you will sooner or later become used to, oh, it's 10:30, you will shout now. Right? So there has to be a level of acceptance. And that acceptance is not a passive acceptance that, oh, there's nothing I can do, so I give up and go into apathy. It is an active acceptance where you say, all right, things are like this. What can I do to make it better? And sometimes maybe there is nothing you can do. So you just be with it. Right? I mean, you cannot go to Chennai and complain about the heat. You can't. Chennai by definition is hot. They only have three climate: hot, hotter, hottest. Right? Yeah. So if you go to Chennai and say, oh, it's so hot, this is so unfair, why is it so hot? Well, if you are finding it so hot, you go to Shimla now then. Why are you sitting in Chennai? Right? So it's like that, they say the wise person will not build a house in the marketplace and complain about the noise.
Yes.
If you have trouble with noise, don't build the house in the marketplace. Get out of there. Or enjoy the noise.
Yes. What strikes me, Khurshed, is the questions are dropping without being, I mean, I don't even need to take on the questions because the simplicity of this is most striking. It's actually not as complex a science as we may have made out, being happy or being at peace.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is not. We complicate it. It is not so difficult.
Beautiful.
It is just a matter of priority. Nothing more than that.
Yes. Yes, I think friends, we are getting this. I am going to take Mrudul's question. Mrudul says, we manifest with a defined objective to achieve, and when it doesn't get manifested, so disappointment is obvious. How can we be happy then? So she's essentially saying, what do you do when you have a goal, or you are not able to manifest? So for example, I want to meditate. I decide I want to meditate tomorrow morning from 7 or every day at 7 o'clock, but I don't actually manage to do that. Is that not bound to cause disappointment or unhappiness?
Yeah, but then it is up to you, no? You have decided to meditate, you don't meditate, you feel terrible. Take responsibility for the choice you have made. Acha, you have worked very hard for something and that particular thing didn't happen. Learn. What did you learn from that? Right? I always say there are wins in life and there are learns in life. There is no such thing as failure. You have wins and you have learns. So if you messed up, if you screwed up, if something that you really wanted didn't work out, learn from it. What did you do or not do that made this uh, manifest in this particular way? All right, and go move on. I mean, come on, this is such a it's a very childish question. If you have learned how to walk, did you learn how to walk straight away? Have you seen a baby? How many times they fall and pick up, crawl, fall. Then they learn to walk. If you can learn to walk and you have learned that only through failure, then why are you so scared of failure? And why are you so disappointed about failure? Does a baby get disappointed? If we got disappointed because we fell every time we tried to walk as babies, we would never learn to walk. Forget about walking. Remember how you learned how to drive the bicycle? How many times you fell? And every time you fell, didn't you laugh? Didn't you know the I think over here, when you look at something as a problem, it bothers you. But when you turn the attitude and look at it as an adventure, it is a lot of fun. The same person who will trek up a tall, steep mountain hanging by one cloth, one string, will crib because his building lift is not working. Both places he's climbing. Only one side it is an adventure, other side it is a problem. Right?
Beautiful. Well, this sense of loss, I think that sense of loss is really when a goal that you set or you wanted to manifest something that did not manifest, that sense of loss is only because you treated it as a failure, whereas you're saying there is no such thing. It's really a learn. We have a win and a learn. So it's a beautiful way of, also communicating with, we have many educators here. It's a beautiful way of also communicating with children.
Yeah.
Win
this
and a learn.
In the education system, this failure is bad is such a pathetic thing to ingrain into children.
Yeah.
If there is one reform that we could do is when a child fails, sit with the kid and ask, okay, why do you think you've got this bad marks? Why did you think you failed? And let the child answer. Yeah. Okay, do you enjoy failing? Is it okay with you that you fail? No. What do you think you should do? But what do people do? They shove them into coaching classes. They give them like, oh my God. Ganesh, my 14-year-old niece is staying with me right now in ashram. Okay, she's come down from Bombay. I remember my science project. I think she's in 8th or 9th standard. I remember my science project. I don't know whether you remember your science project, 8th, 9th standard, I remember one year I had made the surface of the moon with plaster of Paris. And another year I had made a volcano which would actually kind of erupt and little smoke would come out. It was some hydrochloric acid and something else that I had mixed or whatever. It was such fun to do it with capital F. All right. And I really learned a lot about physics, a lot about chemistry, a lot about biology while actually creating that project. I remember another friend of mine, he had made this little factory with grass outside. So he'd actually sown seeds of grass and the grass had grown. So it was real grass on that little thing. And he had got something inside which would make smoke come out of the chimney. So we used to have like terrific fun making the science projects. And the point of the science projects was to bring a little bit of practicality of what you are learning in class, right? I was horrified beyond anything to know what my niece's science project is. Do you know what her science project is right now? Yeah. Can you take a wild guess?
Maybe looking something up on Google and presenting a report.
Even that would be okay. They have got a PDF file which they have to copy out in their handwriting and submit. This is a science project.
Wow. Wow.
And the great part is, one of the other girls got her boyfriend to do it for her and got caught and was punished because she got. I think that girl should be applauded and really given a medal for having some other person. This girl has got like the makings of a leader.
Yes.
This is a science project, and this is supposed to be one of the good schools of Bombay. This is what education is all about. This is what you do to your children. Another time I was sitting with her, there was some history class going on. The teacher was simply reading the text out of a book. I mean,
Yeah.
what is this?
I think, Khurshed, you said something very important. That inability to handle failure as children, because we weren't really taught how to deal with failure. Like you said, sit down with that child, ask them. We all grow up as adults. We've really grown up to be the children who did not learn how to fail.
Absolutely.
And therefore, the happiness code that you're talking about is also essentially a lack of learning from an important point in our life, because we are a sum total of our childhood, really. We're all, and so that's so powerful what you said. And it's a deep insight that I had just as you were speaking, that it is really all of those missing pieces in the jigsaw, and then you become this adult who freaks out during the pandemic, and who has all of these challenges. But that's because I never really learned to learn from this situation.
Right?
It's so beautiful.
And you will find that the people who have thrived in this situation are people who have failed sometime or the other in life. Yeah. Including me. I flunked my third year BSc Maths. I flunked horribly. Right? And yes, I was upset and depressed and all that for about 2 weeks. I punished myself. My parents had to do nothing. I myself only punished myself in all kinds of weird ways. And then I said, like, okay, this is not going to help me pass. So I got, pulled up my socks and got to work.
Yes.
And the second time I gave that exam, I gave it in October. I gave that exam second time, I got like 58%, 2% of the first class. And just to prove a point, I gave the exam once more in May. And this time I was so good at it. I actually gave classes. I taught classes to 5 or 6 of my friends who had been flunking consistently for the past 4 years. I got more than 70%, 78%, something like that. And all of them cleared, all of them passed. And they actually, some of them started really enjoying maths. So the point is that failure is required for you to know this is not the way to do it. Maybe there is some other way. Beating yourself about failure, like one of my students recently, 3-4 years ago, he flunked. Then he came to me, मैं कौन सा मुंह दिखाऊंगा मेरे माँ बाप को? मैंने बोला जो मुंह है वही दिखाएगा, और कौन सा मुंह दिखाएगा? जाके बोल, हाँ फेल हो गया भाई, ठीक से काम नहीं किया, फेल हुआ, अभी ठीक से काम करूंगा.
Yeah.
People are made to feel so pathetic about failing. And I really truly don't see failure as, in quotes, failure. Failure is a way to learn what you should be doing more of and what you should be doing less of, and what you should start doing and what you should stop doing. And if you can do that, it's not a failure at all. It's a learning experience. Move on.
Khurshed, this is also now leading us into something very interesting. And you said that failure at, you went to Khalsa College, so that it was there. You talked about this. I failed in Hindi in 5th grade. I got 9 out of 50, and my mother was a former Hindi teacher. And I took the paper and put it behind the cupboard. And the report card came, my mother saw I had failed. And there was So she found out she started to look in the house. Where is the paper? When she found the paper, that was the I was a very timid child. I obviously got one or two, but gifts. But the fact is, for the next several months, actually next year, I was shamed among my relatives for having failed as a, and that somewhere these incidents in all our lives are taking us away from self love, or just acknowledging our own self, and somewhere it makes us feel that we are not okay. And I think what you're saying is very important, because really the cracking the code of happiness is also, in a way, it came to me, and I'm sure you can give us some more guidelines here. How do I start to feel okay with whatever is and whoever I am? Because that is really what has happened to a lot of us right now. I'm seeing the questions pouring in. We have one from Mauritius as well, and it goes around meditation, so I'll take that. But what is really this not okay feeling? Where is it coming from, and how can we now then start to talk a little bit about meditation and how that kind of deals with that?
So when you have to act in the world, it's okay to feel it's not okay. Because otherwise you will not act. Otherwise that chalta hai attitude happens. That theek hai. Right? But when you are going to sit down to relax, when you want to sit down to meditate, when you want to sleep, then you have to say all is well. Otherwise you will never be able to meditate. So it's not okay is a brilliant way to drive yourself to achieving things, to make things happen. Everything is all right is a brilliant way to relax and wind down and give your mind that much needed rest. And both are required. Uh, yeah, I think that's enough.
Beautiful. I'll take one last question on this before the meditation question. Uh, this question is from Gurvinder. She says, I've observed that our expectations from life and people around usually rob us of happiness. How must one manage expectations? I mean, or rather just drop them.
See, you cannot manage thoughts. Thoughts come. This is something, it is like trying to blow a cloud out of the sky. This cloud is irritating me. This thought is irritating me. Thoughts come, they don't ask permission. The point is, it is up to you to engage with that thought or not. And the ability to disengage from thoughts comes through meditation. A thought by itself is just a thought. Your interpretation and your engagement with the thought is what can make you feel happy or bother you. And that skill comes through meditation.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Khurshed. And I now want to take this question on
one sec, Ganesh. Let me say one more thing.
Sure.
As you evolve in life, and this is something that I absolutely love about Art of Living, Gurudev has never told us you are useless, you are pathetic, you are foolish, you are stupid. You meditate, you will become better. That's not the style. That is not the message. He says you are perfect. How you are perfect. Are you ready for another level of perfection? A seed is perfect. When it becomes that little, 2 shoots, that is perfect. And that becomes that little shrub, that is perfect. And that becomes a young tree, and that is perfect. and that becomes a grand, old, beautiful, amazing tree, and that is perfect. And that is the journey from one level of perfection to another level of perfection.
Beautiful.
Until you feel that, you are always trying to fix things. You are always trying, no, right now you are how you are perfect. How about enhancing that now? Instead of beating yourself, oh, I have this problem, oh, I have this issue, no, you are perfect.
Yeah.
Now let's start from there.
Wonderful. And on that note, Khurshid, we've got another question. And again, I think we have educators here who are dealing with very anxious students. In particularly during this time, their exams and pieces. So we have Nitina, who's asking, anxiety is just not a thought. It creates chemical imbalance in the body during which a person cannot even meditate, and that's when the person seeks help.
No,
Please share your thoughts on
no, I
this.
don't agree with this. Even in a full-blown anxiety or a panic attack, a person who is adept at meditating can indeed slip into meditation and come out of that attack faster. And I am talking through experience because I myself had that. Okay.
Wonderful.
And let me, since this question has come, let me show you guys one very simple, very, very, very easy technique. You take your index finger, okay, and all of you can do this with me. In fact, I have a little YouTube video also. You can check it out on my channel, BND youtube.com/BND This particular technique, how to deal with anxiety. There is a technique. This should be taught to everybody. Like, it's so simple. So you take your index finger and just feel behind your ear, and you will find a very solid bone over there, right? Now drop down from that bone and you will find a soft spot, very soft spot. Ganesh, could you find it?
Yes, yes, very much.
Okay. So please don't press that spot, because that's where a lot of very big blood vessels are going to your brain. Just keep your finger very lightly on that spot. Okay. The other 4 fingers are simply resting on your cheek. Okay. Now with the other hand, your index finger is going to touch your wrist bone. Okay. And the other fingers will again rest on your hand. And you just sit like this. If you look at me, I'm just sitting like that. It feels very like I'm feeling very calm and comfortable. I tell you, if you sit like this for a few minutes, this activates the vagus nerve and all anxiety will simply stop. It's one of the most powerful ways of dealing with anxiety. Simple and very, very powerful. But you need to sit like this for 3, 4, 5 minutes. So each side, you do about 3, 4 minutes here, and then you go to the other side and you put 3, 4 minutes here. Okay. Once
Beautiful. That's a very practical.
Shanti comes, then you sit and meditate, and it will be enhanced. And any child, see, who cannot learn this? It's so simple, right? Another very nice way of handling anxiety is humming. Just humming, because the vagus nerve passes through the throat, right? So for a very young child, you can even make them hum Twinkle Twinkle Little. They just do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. They just hum that. The vagus gets activated, and the child starts feeling much better. And I will give you a third way. You put your left hand around your, on your collarbone, like this.
Yeah. Left hand. Okay.
Left hand. And the right hand is in the middle of your forehead, like that. This is another very nice way of balancing things out, grounding yourself. Yeah. Again, 3, 4 minutes if you sit. You will feel automatically you will start feeling a sense of peace, a sense of shanti dawning in you. Yeah? All these things will set the stage for meditation. This is not meditation,
Yeah.
but they set the stage for meditation. It becomes easier, and for sure, any sort of anxiety will get released in just doing these 2-3 things.
It already feels so.
Yeah, it feels so nice.
I almost feel like we're ready to now meditate.
Uh,
So beautiful. So, uh, I would, request you, Khurshid. There is a question from Prabha, who's our friend in Mauritius, who's joined us also. Is it true to say that people progress at different pace in their path of meditation? So, what is the starting point for individuals? And you said something around continuing to do it. You practice and practice and practice. And I'm reminded of what Buddha said. The Buddha said, "Chare veti, keep walking, keep walking." And so, uh, this disappointment that comes to people sometimes when you are sitting and then you are not able to you feel like you have to control your thoughts, etc. So if we can do a little practice with you that we can leave with, that will be phenomenal. um,
Ganesh, sorry. What would you? I mean, what did the lady from Mauritius say? Is there a?
he said, is it true that to say that people progress at different pace in their path of meditation?
Absolutely, it depends on how committed they are. For a person who really, really wants to be free of frustration, anger, who has had enough of it, they progress much faster than a person who is just curious. "Abhi, chal jaake dekhte hai kya hai," right? Ganesh, I just sent you a YouTube link of a meditation that Gurudev is conducting. So Gurudev himself is conducting. So you said now we should meditate at the end. So maybe at the end you could just put this link on and we can all sit and meditate.
Wonderful. So I'm going to post this link for everybody. My apologies. It's come to me in a private chat. I guess it's not in the.
Yes. Shall I just put it onto for everybody?
Yes, that will be fabulous.
So panelists and attendees?
Yes, please.
So there you go. That's gone to everybody now.
Excellent. So would you like me to play this now or?
No, it would be nicer because online sometimes it stutters and all that. So everybody can just play it, and all you need to do is sit comfortably, keep your eyes closed, and just listen. Nothing else to do.
Wonderful. Well, Khurshid, I just want to say that we really, really appreciate this time with you. I am going to recommend, I have been so inspired. The more I read about you, Akhil is here. Thank you, Akhil, for the introduction and, my gratitude to you. The more I read about your work, I watch your videos, the more inspired I get. And I would encourage all of us to actually just Google Khurshid. There's so much that he's done. All my teacher friends, it is not about what you teach, it is how you teach. And you have to just watch Khurshid explain a plus b the whole squared, squared plus 2ab plus b squared, how it comes into being. It is amazing the way he has really and I wish Khurshid that we are some of the communities that I serve, along with the meditation groups that I'm in, we are in 80 plus countries. I hope that every teacher gets to see you in action or learn something from you. So that will be beautiful. I can see, Nitina, you have raised your hand. I hope that question, it was so beautifully answered. If there is something else that you had to. Yeah, okay. Thank yous coming in. Can you resend the link, please? I think the link has been posted already. Khurshed has posted it to all of us.
I have posted that, and I've also posted my YouTube channel on the link tree that you have put. That YouTube is not correct. It is youtube.com/BNDTV. Or maybe this might also work. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Vidhi, can you just make sure?
Yeah, it works. It works. It works. Yeah.
And Khurshed, if you just want to leave people, with what do you do some training programs? How can people learn with you? Where practice some of these things.
Dinesh and I both teach courses of the art of living, and if right now that site is a little iffy, but from January onwards it is going to be perfectly, all the schedules, and we are building the site, so it's a little up and down right now. Like I said, I've just learned website design and programming 2 months ago, so I'll just put that website also down.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
It's www.energyworld, INERGY, energyworld.com. If you check out the schedule page over there, it will have all the courses which Dinesh, me, and our team teach. So you could just register for any of those and learn.
Beautiful. And I am personally going to be your student. I am really looking forward to that. Although I started practicing in 2006, there's so much to learn. And, the resonance as a math teacher and a practicing meditator is so much here. So, we will keep following you. We'll keep coming back to you, Khurshed, and we will do this meditation right after the link that you've shared. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us here at the AHA Movement and all of the participants attending. This video is also going to be watched by many of our community later. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you so much for being
It was lovely being with all of you, Ganesh. Thanks for inviting me.
Pleasure.
And just one last thing, that energyworld.com, like I said, may not be working, but by the 1st of Jan, I will get it fixed. So, some of the things may not work. It is a beta site. So please don't, you can always call up any of our phone numbers and we can have you register for our courses.
And we have an email address for everybody, Khurshed. So what we'll do is we'll take some details from you on email and send it to everybody on email. So that is something that we do, and they're also going on the AHA Movement website. So we'll also post it there. Perfect. So that will be wonderful. Yeah. Perfect. Super. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, Ganesh and everybody. Have a lovely, lovely evening, day, morning, afternoon, depending on where you are. Jai Gurudev. And it was absolutely brilliant being with all of you.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, Khurshed. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you.